Hello. As you can see by the title page, I'm here to talk about Kingdom. The Netflix third season, or third chapter, as they're calling them. Each part is in chapters. So the third chapter of the Netflix Transformers series called Kingdom. So yeah, I've got some time to kill. I'm due at work in about 2 hours. I have to set off for work in about 2 hours. So I thought, while I've still got a little bit of time, I thought to just kill a bit of time and do a quick video. Or I say a quick video, never as quick, especially when I'm just running off. The cogs in my head are turning, churning, and I just, But yeah, so I've just finished Kingdom, just finished it, and I just wanted to talk about my thoughts on it. Now, as soon as I found out that it was up on Netflix earlier this morning, yesterday morning actually, it is now a day later. It's now like 24 hours after, roughly about 24 hours later when Kingdom first went on Netflix. So earlier yesterday morning when it first went up, I noticed it was there, and I watched the first episode, and then I watched the rest, and finally finished it this evening. So I put up on Netflix on a status saying watching Kingdom, and I said I'm going to try and watch this with an open mind, and I did that. I went into it with an open mind. I knew, obviously, with watching Siege, the last two chapters of the Netflix series, with watching what we've already had and what's already been up and already the stuff that's already been up on Netflix for a little bit for the past year or so. I kind of knew what to expect in regards to certain aspects of this series. I was quite excited when it got confirmed that we were getting Beast Wars characters again. Like Beast Wars character, but when obviously Beast Wars is finally getting a resurgence after quite a while of a lot of silence and just the odd comic book in between that silence, and finally getting some new toys thanks to this Kingdom series, which I'm very thankful for. I've been very much enjoying the toys for the Kingdom toy line, and so yeah, I was gonna. I wanted to go into this with an open mind and enjoy it for what it was. I knew there'd be issues that I would come across, and I do have some problems with this series. However, I did enjoy it. I did enjoy it. I thought, just to be fair, I generally thought it was the better of the three series, of the three chapters, if you will, that is up on Netflix now. I thought some of the voice acting was a little bit better in regards to the Autobots and Decepticons. I thought the voice directing and the voice performances from the actors, or the actors' performances, should I say, I thought for the Autobots and Decepticons they were a bit better. Not brilliant, but they were a bit better compared to the previous chapters. Because there were some glaring problems with Chapter 1, or Series 1, and Series 2, again, issues. There's still issues in Kingdom, but I thought it was a little bit better, a bit more rounded. The performances from the standpoint of the Autobots and the Decepticons the generally was a little bit better. But coming to the Beast Wars characters, I do have some problems with. Um, of course, with being a Beast Wars fan, I am genuinely really happy to see these characters: Primal, Cheetor, Tigatron, Airazor, Dinobot, Black Arachnia, Megatron, and Rat Trap. I am really happy to see all those characters back in an animated series after all this time. I was really happy to see them. I when the Maximals first came into, and I'm not going to say anything too heavily. I'm not going to say too much about the story side of things, because it's literally only like the first day, really. It's like the first day of this going up on Netflix. There'll be a lot of people that still haven't seen it. So I'm going to try and keep this as spoiler free as possible. So I'm just going to try and make this more of a general opinion, my personal opinion. So I'm going to try and keep what happened in the story to one side and just keep this more or less spoiler free if I can, as spoiler free as I can possibly do. So all I'm going to say is, when the Maximals first appeared, I had a little grin on my face, and I was like, this is great, this is cool, yay, the Maximals are back. And it kind of, for a moment there, I kind of felt like that little kid watching the original Beast Wars show when it first aired in the UK, and I kind of went back to that nostalgic feeling when I first saw them, and I was like, yay, they're back, this is awesome. And but yeah, I was really, really happy to see these characters and seeing them interact with the Autobots and the Decepticons, which never happened really before. In the original series, obviously, with Kingdom, obviously it kind of completely puts the whole Beast Wars thing completely on its head. Because obviously in the original Beast Wars, yes, the Maximals and the Predacons are the future of the Cybertronian race. And during the original series, you find out that the Decepticons and the Autobots on the Ark and the Nemesis crash land on the Maximals and Predacons. Discover the Ark and discover Optimus and G1 Optimus and G1 Megatron, and you see them, and obviously there's the whole Spark of Starscream thing, and Unicron comes into it as well. So it kind of is, the original Beast Wars, it's kind of a sequel, but it also is a prequel. It's a prequel or a prelude, as you could call it. It's kind of like a prelude to what would happen when the Autobots and Decepticons come out of stasis, because obviously they're still in stasis because of crash landing on Earth, and they don't come out of stasis for like millions of years when it's humans are on the planet, and it's like the industrial 80s basically. A lot of stuff's going on. So yeah, you don't really see any interaction per se. There's no like communication between Optimus and Primal, or Megatron and Beast Wars Megatron. There's no like vocal interaction. It is more or less, it's a different thing. So when you come to Kingdom, it's a totally different thing, where for the first time they are together. They are from two different timelines. The Maximals and Predacons are the future of the Cybertronian race, and due to what the events of what happened in between, at the end of season 2 or chapter 2 of of this series on Netflix, and the beginning of this series 3 or chapter 3, with what happens there, they kind of end up kind of like coming through time, basically, like a time travel kind of deal, and crash land, and it's kind of like completely flips what the original Beast Wars show was, and you finally have the Autobots and Decepticons and the Predacons and the Maximals both coming together for the very first time and interacting with one another. That side of things I thought was pretty interesting, because we never got that before in the same way. And I generally thought that was quite interesting to see Primal and Optimus Prime meeting together, and both Megatrons, meeting. And that, however, all that said already, I generally really enjoyed. I thought that was great to see. The action was great, the animation was great. However, I had some issues with the voice acting for the Beast Wars characters. I've said this a few times. I have problems with the voice acting for pretty much all of it. All the Netflix Transformers series, that's all of it. That's up on Netflix right now. I have some problems with the voice acting. Some of the characters I feel could be much better. And whenever I've voiced that opinion, I've always had a little bit of people coming back at me saying, "Oh, do you think you could do better? Could you do better? Could you be better?" I'm like, obviously not, because I'm not a trained actor. I'm not a trained voice director. I'm not an ADR guy. It's really annoying when you can't voice an opinion anymore. I hate the world that we live in when you can't voice an opinion. You have to listen to someone else's opinion, but God forbid if you've got one of your own. But yeah, it's just... Okay. Some of the characters, the Beast Wars characters, I thought were pretty good. I thought the voice performances were great, and that was Black Arachnia. I thought the Black Arachnia, the actress that, the voice actress that played Black Arachnia, I thought she sounded pretty close to Venus Terzo. Obviously, Venus Terzo was the original Black Arachnia, and I thought she was pretty good. She did a convincing job for me that, yeah, that's Black Arachnia. Also, I didn't mind the voice for Dinobot a little bit, even though I would have liked to have a little bit of that Scott McNeil, that kind of, he's a velociraptor for crying out loud. I'd have liked a bit of that grrr in his voice, like Scott McNeil did. But again, it was alright. And who else can I say that I didn't mind the voices for? I have to really stretch. No, I think they are the two standout ones for the Beast Wars characters. Rat Trap was okay, but I thought the voice was a bit too deep for Rat Trap. Obviously, I understand that the different actors and all, and I don't want, I understand it's not the original Beast Wars cast. I get it. But I generally think they could have done much better. I think the performances could have been much more than what we got. And, I just think that there was only maybe two or three, like Rat Trap at a push in this Kingdom series I thought was okay. He had a little bit in there where he kind of calls, "Where's the gorilla gone?" Where's Primal gone? But he says, "Where's the gorilla gone?" Things like that. So you got a little bit of the Rat Trap thing in there. So they kept the essence of who Rat Trap was, and his sarcasticness and everything like that. His witty, his wit kind of sarcasm. They kind of kept that a little bit with Rat Trap, so I respected that. So I would say Rat Trap Rat Trap, Black Arachnia, and Dinobot were the more, for me, the better performances for the Beast Wars characters. However, I didn't really like the voice choice or how another voice for Primal. Again, I know it's not Gary Chalk. I understand that, but I generally thought it was a much lazier approach. I generally thought, when I first heard it, I thought, oh my god. When I first heard Primal talk, and I was like, we are your future. I was like, what the hell? So yeah, I did not like the performance for Primal. Cheetor he barely even spoke, but So yeah, Tigertron. I saw someone else comment this, and I kind of agree. So I can't remember who it was that commented. It was on Facebook, and I was reading some of the comments about people's opinions on this on it, um, and basically someone said that they should have swapped the voice actors for Tigertron and Dinobot and swapped them, because how Tigertron sounded more like it had that growly gravel voice, like a Scott McNeil kind of thing. But the voice actor for Tigertron, he sounded like he had that like a growly, grovelly voice, and I thought that would have worked better for Dinobot, because that's kind of his thing, his signature. He has much more of an aggressive tone to himself. And Tigertron was more a zen guy. He was more one with the wild kind of thing. But no, Air again. I thought Air was alright. Air wasn't too bad. Could be a little bit better, but I'm not going to be too negative on Air. I thought that was alright. But for me, I think the worst performances for the Beast Wars characters, I really didn't like Megatron. I was like, is this actor even trying to be convincing? It was just kind of like, oh, Megatron. Oh, let me suck you off, Megatron. Oh, you're my mate, you're my namesake. I named myself after you. That was kind of what I got from Beast Wars Megatron at G1 Megatron. It just like a very cringy performance, and I understand the original Megatron. He named himself after him, so he idolized G1 Megatron. I get that. But I generally think the original Megatron we got, I generally don't think he would have been gushing around him just as much as this guy was in Kingdom. I just generally think he was the bitch. He was just a purple bitch. That's all I can really say. He was just a bitch. He was just like, oh, let me grovel at your feet, G1 Megatron. And I just thought the voice performance was just very lackluster, in my opinion. Scorponok didn't even speak. I cannot remember a single word out of his mouth. He was there, but he didn't speak. So I guess the money must have run out. There was no Waspinator either, but yeah, Waspinator. I believe there is going to be a Kingdom Waspinator toy in the fourth wave, and I'm not going to say anything, but I generally think the way that Kingdom ended, there will be another series. That's all I'm going to say. So I generally think we might see more characters somehow coming into it, maybe in the future. But yeah, so there was no other. All we had was just the core Predacons. Just the core Predacons. I say core. Obviously there was no Pterosaur and there was no Waspinator. So it was just For the Predacons, it was Dinobot, Black Arachnia, Purple Bitch Guy, aka Megatron, and that was it. Oh, Scorponok, yeah. I think that was it. Yeah. So there was only about four or five of the Predacons, and then the Maximals was obviously Tigatron, Cheetor, Primal, Rhinox, Rat Trap, Razor. So there was actually, I think the Predacons, I think, were a little bit outmatched. I think there was there was quite a few of the Maximals, but not as many as the Preds. So I'm generally thinking that there was more Predacons, but they just didn't come into it in this series. But yeah, so there's my issues with it. I thought some of the vocal performances for the Beast Wars characters I didn't like. So that was obviously I didn't like the voice. I didn't like the voice, or the I didn't like how Primal sounded. The fact that I understand it isn't the original cast, but I generally think that what really annoys me is that these are great actors. This is a great, there's the voice actors that are working on this series are good actors. That's what I just can't understand. They are good actors. There is some incredible actors that have worked on video games that are really well known, cartoons, all sorts of stuff. If you go on the internet and look up the voice cast for this series, and you know there is some really great actors in there. I just don't understand how they can't get a good performance out of some of those actors. I just thinking to myself that there must be something wrong behind the scenes. Either there's somebody with not much work experience in the job, as in the voice director or the ADR director, whatever. I'm generally thinking it is an issue more in the direction of the director and the guys behind that big screen that presses the button saying, do this, do that, try this, try that, try this, go higher, go lower. That guy, I generally think, is a problem with that person. There's no problem, the actors themselves are competent enough and good enough for what, for being in the industry and for doing what they do. They are competent enough and they are good enough. And I just generally think that if they'd got a better director, got a better voice director, ADR people behind, the other guys behind that glass panel, I generally think that the voice performances would have been a lot better. The reason why I'm saying that, and some people might be thinking I'm a bit too harsh on the director, but that is all I can really say is where the issue lies, is the director, is the ADR guy, because the guy behind, because the guy that directed this also directed the Machinima series, and the Machinima series is notorious and is terrible. The animation's terrible in that as well. Because the animation, it was just, oh my god, just don't get me started. I ain't even going to talk about the Machinima series anymore. But basically but when they did that series, they got the guy that's working on this series for Netflix. He worked on that as a voice director, and I just thought, well, why? That's why the voice performances are bad. The actors themselves, they're not the problem. I understand they are being paid to play a role, but they are competent enough to do a good performance. Because if you look at their back catalogue of the characters they've played, and they have done good work, in the past. But I generally think the person directing them, I don't think they are good enough at getting the best out of the actor. That's all I can say. Yep, I'm being as fair as I can without being a complete dickhead. I know I'm probably going to get some comments saying, how can you say that? How can you say this? You don't work in the industry. No, I don't. But I'm allowed an opinion. Even though it essentially has become a statement, but I'm allowed to voice my side. I'm not, I have enjoyed the Netflix Transformers series. I have enjoyed it to a degree. I just think that the voice performances could have been better. That's all I'm trying to say. And I'm not the only one that agrees with that point. A lot of people have enjoyed it. It's been great to see a darker toned series. A bit more of a mature theme to it. And I respect Netflix and I respect the people behind it for making it a darker series, a much darker toned series. And generally, there's a lot more at stake in this series than what we've seen before. I mean, don't get me wrong, there has been a lot at stake. Transformers Prime was again a very darker toned, more matured series as well. But obviously, that was an incredible series, one of my favourites. But this one was a lot darker, and I really like the idea of a darker toned Transformers series. And I've always wanted to see one again after, obviously post Transformers Prime. So I respect that they've made it a much darker and more mature in the story and the world, making it much more darker. I have a lot of respect for that. But I just think that if they'd have maybe got somebody else to direct the actors, we might still have the same problem, but we can't say that for sure. We don't know. We don't know what it's all about. I mean, the main issue is that I don't know. I don't know who it was. I'm thinking it's more of a Netflix thing with going non-union, with getting non-union actors instead of union actors. Hence why Peter Cullen, Frank Welker and all them guys didn't come back. Now, I don't have a problem with somebody else playing Megatron or Optimus or Primal or any of the other Beast Wars characters. I haven't really got a problem with anybody else having a go at playing those characters. Of course, my heart lies, and I will always really love the performances by Doug Parker and Alec Willows and David Sabolov and Gary Chalk and Scott McNeil and all the original cast from Beast Wars, and obviously Peter Cullen, Frank Welker, Neil Ross, all the guys from G1 and all the other ones that have voiced the characters in the past. I have a soft spot for those performances and those actors and and all that. I have a lot of respect for all that. But at the same time, I like to see an up-and-coming actor or somebody else give it a go. Like obviously Corey Burton, he played Megatron in animated, and I thought that was one of the best Megatron performances I've heard. And I really loved Corey Burton's Megatron in animated. I just generally thought that performance was, I just thought it was so good. And don't get me wrong, I loved the performance of Megatron in this G1 Megatron, by the way, I'm talking about. In this Netflix series, I really liked the performance of Megatron in the G1 Megatron in this new series. All three parts. I generally think he was one of the Megatron's definitely one of the characters that stands out more. A good performance from him. But so yeah, I have no problem with somebody else giving these characters a go. But I generally think that I just think there's something behind the scenes. Maybe there was a bit. I'm guessing that maybe there was a bit of restraints. Like maybe there's some sort of restraint on next. Maybe Netflix were kind of not allowing them to be as creative, or do a little bit of provide a bit of improv with the lines, things like that. Because in the original Beast Wars series, there was a lot. There was obviously the writing and the script and everything in the original series was absolutely fantastic, and the actors didn't really need to do as much in any sort of improv kind of stuff, add stuff of their own to it because the writing was too good. But yet there was a couple of instances where they was allowed to have a go and was allowed to kind of say, I think this would work better or this would work better, and ultimately that worked into Beast Wars, and it made it a much better experience for the characters and for the actors and for the series as a whole. And I think there's more to it than just the director as well. I could be overthinking things. People are probably watching this now thinking, John, just shut up and stop the video, by the way. You're not making any sense, but or maybe you aren't making any sense. But there's certainly something with it. Whether it is just down to the people behind the glass booth, the guys that are directing the actors, basically. I don't know if it's something with them, or if there's already been requirements set in place by Netflix or Hasbro that has ultimately kind of made things a bit more difficult, and they've had to work with what they've been given. And ultimately that's why some of the performances aren't as good as the others. Because there are some very good performances, like Starscream sounds great, Soundwave's okay to me, Alita 1 was great, Black Arachnia was great. So that there's some characters in there that generally was good, but there was a lot that weren't. Or if they would just give it just that bit more, it might have been better. But like I said, on a closing note, I did enjoy this series. I know I've made it sound like I didn't, but I'm just trying to get my point across. And in this day and age, this time we're living in, we're not allowed to. As soon as you voice your side of it, you're shot down straight away with somebody else's opinion, and their opinion is all-knowing, and you must listen to them. End of the day, it doesn't work like that. Everyone's got an opinion, and everybody is entitled to voice it. And yes, you can also argue you have to respect other people's opinions, but which is true. You have to respect other people's points of and thoughts on things, which is completely true. So this is just my opinion. I mean, I've got nothing against the series or any of it really. I've got nothing against it at all. But it's I have enjoyed it. I've watched all of it and I have enjoyed it for what it is. But I just think the acting could have been better. And I just think, but still, I thank them for bringing the Beast Wars characters back into the mainstream, back into the Transformers thing, in an animated series again. I'm really thankful for that. And it was interesting, like I've already said, it was very interesting to see the Autobots and Decepticons and the Predacons and the Maximals, together. And yeah, I generally enjoyed it for that reason, and I thank them for that. But I generally think that one last thing to say. I just generally think that they could have done much more than what they did. I think the performances they could have they could have done much more with the actors' performances. They could have really tried to squeeze them a bit more and just get a little bit more from it. But what can we do? That is what we got. That's what we get. And yeah, so there we go. So see what the future brings, whether we'll get more. But I'm happy that this Beast Wars is back in a certain way, and these the toys are great, and it's great to see them in the series interacting with everybody. And so yeah, there we go. That's my video. So thank you for watching, and so I'm gonna go now, and till next time, stay awesome, stay safe, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. So yes, till all are one. Bye bye.